there's one thing you should know about me, it's that I have zero interest in politics as usual and a very significant interest in good governance. With this current administration, we're getting the least imaginative version of the former and nothing close to the latter. I was watching a video recently of someone breaking down what's happening with the Save America Act and what Democrats may have to do in response. And she explained it well, but I want to explicitly name why we're in this situation. Republicans refuse to pass policy that is actually helpful to people and that makes our lives better, but they want to stay in power. So they pass legislation that makes it harder for people to remove them from power. And we get things like the Save America Act. This bill would make a passport the primary way to verify your identification when you go vote. Passport, though, costs almost $250. Right now, with 92,000 jobs lost in the last month alone, most people don't have $250 to spare. Approximately 146 to over 200 million people don't even have a valid passport on hand. You can also use your birth certificate and your ID, except more than 21 million Americans don't have ready access to their birth certificate. And you might be like, well, just replace it. I did that a couple years ago and it took over a month for mine to get here. And that was before the government started laying people off all willy-nilly. This is voter suppression dressed up as election security because Republicans don't want to lose their power. And they also don't want to do anything to help better our lives. This is what happens when a party with zero interest in governing gains majority power. This is politics. This is not Democrats are just as bad as Republicans. We cannot afford to let Republicans hold majority power ever again. Trump says if this bill passes, the Republicans won't lose the election for another 50 years. And honestly, I'd be okay with that if they had interest in doing right by us, but they don't. History shows that that's just not how they do things. Lie to their constituents and do absolutely nothing for their districts except prey on and feed into the very real fears that people have, unfounded or founded, when they could be helping people face those fears. I'm a proud Democrat. Every substantial piece of progressive legislation we've got in the last 60 years in this country has come through the Democratic Party. I'm proud of that legacy. And as far as I'm concerned, where I or anyone else stands on the spectrum of leftism doesn't really matter if Democrats aren't in power. This is politics. And unfortunately, we have to play with the Republicans. But if we let them play now, we make everyone accountable in November, Republicans and ineffective Democrats alike. Even though it's unlikely to pass, I think this is a perfect example of what we're up against and who we're dealing with.